Welcome to the Bay State Golf Podcast. I am Sean Melia, your host for today, to talk about a golf course that's very far away from the Bay State. We're going to Branson, Missouri at Big Cedar Lodge to talk about Buffalo Ridge, one of the three 18-hole championship golf courses that they have on their property. It is the first one that they built. If you are interested in Big Cedar as a destination, I did a podcast that just specifically talks about the bigger picture of a trip at Big Cedar. I've also done about a 15-minute episode about Paynes Valley and that golf course, and I will do a third episode about Ozarks National that you can also listen to or watch on YouTube. I will have videos accompanying my words on YouTube. So if you're interested in seeing what these golf courses look like, head on over to YouTube, watch them there, click subscribe and all that good stuff. And one last plug before we get into Buffalo Ridge. I have a newsletter that I send out every Friday. It's kind of a collection of all of my stuff and writing and podcasts and anything that just interested me that I read, watched, ate, drank during the week. It's got a golf bend to it, obviously, but I also touch on a bunch of other different topics or write about things through the lens of golf that have, maybe very little to do with golf. If you're interested in some writing and just getting some news and notes from Massachusetts golf as well, it's a nice little way for me to wrap up the week and put a bow on it. Every Friday morning, it will be in your inbox. You can find that at baystategolf.beehive. Beehive is BEEHIIV.com. Click subscribe. I would appreciate you doing that. Let's get to Buffalo Ridge, though, what we're all here to learn about. Buffalo Ridge, some facts about it, was built in 1999 by Tom Fazio. It is the first of the three 18-hole golf courses that were built on the Big Cedar property. If you want to go play it from the tips, it's just a touch above 7,000 yards as a par 71. The blues, it's just around 6,500 yards, and the whites, 6,100 yards. Big Cedar is a huge place owned by the Bass Pro Shops owner. Has a bunch of different things going on. I think, 1999 is one of those windows where destination golf changed in this country. This might have been part of the reason that we have two more golf courses at Big Cedar. 1999 is when Bandon opens, and slowly but surely that has, built out a whole golfing mecca for many people. And over the last 24, 25 years, Big Cedar has built two more championship golf courses as well. So 99 is definitely a marker in the sand for these types of resorts. I'm not sure this was the long-term plan for Big Cedar, and now they're really kind of embracing golf. They have their three 18-hole courses. They have Top of the Rock, which is a 9-hole course. They have Mountaintop, which is a 13-hole walking course. And they are building another short course called the Cliffhanger. That's right on the precipice of Paynes Valley on a little cliff. They're definitely embracing golf, and this was the start of that embrace in 1999. You can kind of feel it when you go to Buffalo Ridge that it was the first one. It's got a separate clubhouse from Paynes Valley. It's a little bit of it's staged in a different area. If you play Ozarks National or Paynes Valley or Mountaintop, you end up kind of going to the same area, getting your golf cart. Paynes Valley and Mountaintop share a clubhouse. Ozarks has its own clubhouse, but they're kind of, together. You can easily get from one to the other by way of golf cart. However, Buffalo Ridge, maybe a 5-minute drive from the rest of the golf courses. Top of the Rock is a completely different entity, 20 minutes, 15 minutes away from those other ones. Buffalo Ridge, so it stands alone a little bit. Another cool little pro shop. The aesthetics at Buffalo Ridge in general are pretty great. Just simple, no huge opulence. You walk into the clubhouse, it's the pro shop, and just a little kitchen area where you can, get a muffin in the morning, or they make good breakfast burritos. Just Very simple. They've got a driving range, a little chipping green, putting green, and you're there to play golf. The other hangout spots, are in other parts of the property. Buffalo Ridge for me was not my favorite of the three, just to kind of get it out there right away. However, there were a ton of people when we told them we were playing Buffalo Ridge, in the shuttle, when we were having dinner, or when we were talking to just people around the property, around the resort. There were people who said it was their favorite. And there were people in the group that I played with who said it was their favorite. There's also people who in our group or I've talked to that didn't love it. So it's definitely a polarizing place. And I'm hoping maybe some of my highlights and some of my lowlights from this give a sense of what I liked about it, but also maybe give a sense of what other people might like about it as well, because that's the beauty of golf. That's why people are interested in going to Bandon Dunes, because you can play all 5 courses and sit down with buddies and rank them all. And the rankings are all going to be jumbled and different because people just like different things. And that's completely fine. I think that's what makes a good golf trip. And that's what makes a good golf resort, for lack of a better word. So everyone can kind of get a little bit of what they like. Paynes Valley was my second favorite, and Ozarks National was definitely my favorite, and I'm looking forward to sharing that in another episode. So the highlights for Buffalo Ridge, just as far as the things that I thought were really good, interesting, standouts for me, I thought the opening stretch of holes. We played the golf course early in the morning. We had like a 6:50 tee time, and the sun is rising. You get to the first tee and you're hitting downhill on a par 5 with buffalo, a field of buffalo on your left, some of the other golf course and the clubhouse on your right. Kind of a welcoming tee shot, pretty open, and a few little spot bunkers in the landing areas. It's a hole you could probably reach into, maybe not straight out of the shuttle after golf for the 3 previous days. Reachable par 5 if you want to, if you can bang it down there pretty far. Also, just a really nice kind of easy handshake. If you hit a drive a little bit off line, you can chop it up and have a short iron in, a wedge in to the green. So the first hole and the opening stretch of holes was pretty great. The second hole is a tough, long par 4 that has a green kind of set against the angle that you'd want to hit a ball into. You kind of leave the buffalo field on the left, and then you just have this big kind of rock wall outcropping along the left of the hole, woods on the right, but it's still pretty open as far as just the landing area. Another good hole. And then you come back out for the third, and the third hole was another good one. A little par 4. You could drive it. You could hit it way down if you knew where you were going and what you wanted to do. You could also just kind of hit a shot out to short of a bunker and hit a little wedge on. Those 3 holes were outstanding, and the fourth, the par 3 uphill, kind of had me engaged. And I thought, oh man, there's a lot of people who might have been right about this place who said it was their favorite. I thought it was really good. I wasn't playing very good golf. We had played Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I had a lot of golf behind me. This was our final day. We were playing 36. It was early in the morning, and I was not hitting the ball well. And I try very hard to separate how I'm hitting it with how I feel about a golf course. So just to kind of let you know, this was the highest score I shot on the trip. Was just kind of all over the place, especially off the tee, which makes golf kind of hard. The second and third holes were probably of that opening stretch my favorite. They were probably my favorite on the entire golf course. They just felt like they were kind of in the land. They fit the place we were. Another highlight for me was just there's some really great views. The vistas. You get views of Paynes Valley, of that golf course as you play some of the back nine. You've got your fields with buffalo kind of just lounging around and hanging out on a few holes on the front and on the back nine. The the holes like 5 through 9, you're kind of playing through some trees and lower land, and you feel like you're in the golf course. Not as many views there, but overall, I thought just as far as being out there, you can look around, you can see a bunch of other spots that belong to Big Cedar. You can see Paynes Valley, you can see Mountaintop, you can see them building cliff hangers up by Paynes Valley. The conditions were outstanding. Of course, you're paying a good chunk of money to play these golf courses, and that kind of goes across the board for every course there. All 5 of them are in outstanding shape. The greens were very good from a conditioning standpoint, and just from like an interest standpoint, they were good. Like they had interior slopes. You were kind of challenged to hit them because they weren't terribly big. Going from there to Paynes Valley, which those greens were incredibly huge, just massive, massive greens. These ones were smaller, a little bit more intricate. You had to be a little bit more accurate. If you couldn't find a fairway like me most of the day, it kind of made the round frustrating. But the greens overall, I thought were very good, were very interesting. So those were my highlights of the round. The opening stretch, awesome. The views and the vistas that you kind of get out when you feel like you're in the Ozarks for those little pockets of the round, really good. The conditions, awesome. The greens, challenging, in great shape, puttable, small, really made you think. But they're not greens where you've got cool little short grass areas around them. They're a little bit more traditional. You've got your green, your fringe, your rough. If you miss, you're usually just kind of chipping out of heavy rough. You're not thinking about, do I want to putt this? Do I want to chip this? What can I do? You're kind of prescribed what you're going to do. The low lights for me, a lot of long cart rides from greens to tee boxes. Golf course at Big Cedar requires you to ride a cart. So in some ways, having that rule for all of them makes that a level playing field for each of the courses, right? If there was one where you were allowed to walk and the other 2 you weren't, that might tell you a little bit about the routing, the design, the walkability. This golf course is not walkable. Paynes Valley is not walkable. Ozarks National is probably the closest one. Like I could have pictured myself walking, but you are in a golf cart for some pretty long stretches to get to high points, to play down to low points, to get just kind of through land that isn't really suitable for golf, to get to a spot that's suitable for golf. So in that respect, all the holes tend to feel like they're their own separate entity because you are in a cart for a while. I think that's another thing I liked about that first stretch of holes was the first to the second to the third to the fourth, even to the 5th tee box. That was the time the round felt like it had the most cohesiveness and rhythm to it. And then from there, you're doing just a little bit more driving, especially on the back, feeling like you're climbing hills. You finish the hole and you're not even sure where the next tee box is, and you get in the cart and you drive through some woods to get to a new tee box. So for me, I don't love that kind of golf all the time, and this one in particular kind of had that impact. Other part for me that I found distracting, and this is a little bit of a Fazio. I was joking with my buddy Dan when we were in the cart and we were talking on the first hole just about Fazio. I said, we're going to see a lot of waterfalls. We're going to see like a lot of unnatural features that are made to maybe look like they naturally fit in here. And there was a bunch of them. And it's not my thing. We finished the first hole behind the first green. There's, a waterfall, and you're driving over some different streams or water features that just don't really feel like they completely match where you are. Again, 1999 golf, Tom Fazio golf. Some people really appreciate and like those types of things, those types of features. And if that's your cup of tea, you're going to love Buffalo Ridge. And some of the guys in my group, I don't think they love the waterfalls, but I think they loved the that feeling of you're on your own golf course every time you're playing a hole because each hole feels individual. I think that can sometimes feel artificial because if you have all of this space to build a golf course and you can pick and choose where you go. The final low light for me was just the feeling that it was a little less connected to the area that we were in. Across the 5 golf courses, they all feel a little bit like they fit in. I'd say Top of the Rock, which is this kind of opulent par 3 course, but has some spectacular views. Might be the other one in this category where I said to my friends on the 18th tee box that it felt like we were playing a fancier version of Pine Hills, which what maybe is a little bit harsh on Buffalo Ridge, but standing on that tee box and looking out, it just I was reminded of, you get your big white sand bunkers and you're playing kind of, do you want to take on the bunkers and cut a corner? Do you want to stay out to the right? And I felt like there was a lot of that kind of golf. Just the tee shots felt somewhat repetitive, where you had bunker on the right, bunker on the left, and kind of a little area between the two where you wanted to try to land your shot. There wasn't much variation in there, which maybe is a completely separate low light. I just standing on 18, I felt like I could have been in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and I feel like I could have been playing in a lot of in really anywhere in the country. There are little pockets where you are playing and you're looking across the Ozarks, and that definitely feels like you're in a place. But Paynes Valley and Ozarks National as the other two 18-hole golf courses certainly felt more like they were in a place. 1999 Buffalo Ridge, Tom Fazio, felt like I was just kind of being driven through some interesting land that could have been really anywhere in the United States. Definitely a golf course that just gave me that sensation as I was playing it, which again, some people really love those types of golf courses. 2 guys in our group of 4 ranked Buffalo Ridge their favorite golf course they played on the trip. And that's once again the beauty of these types of things. So Buffalo Ridge, for me, highlights, really strong opening stretch. Second and third holes, you're playing probably the better holes right away. Some good vistas and views. You're also kind of dipping through some areas, like I said, where you're not really getting many views and you're just feeling like you're being kind of shuttled around from a high point to a green on a low point and then driving uphill again. The conditions were awesome. The greens are very good as far as their conditions and also just the interest in putting them. A little bit smaller, a little bit more challenging to hit, which I appreciated as well. So those are my highlights. And then the lowlights, a lot of long cart rides from greens to tees, some artificial filler, waterfalls, water features, some rocks, and those types of things that kind of are very late 90s, 1990s, 1980s golf. So it is definitely of a time, and that's when this golf course was built. And then finally, just the least connected to the area overall. Again, I think that has to do with the long rides, driving between places, not feeling like you're on a golf course, but more like you're just on a golf hole for the majority of the round. Obviously, there's parts where you kind of poke out and see some other spots or see another golf course. But overall, those were the things that I found distracting. Once again, the disclaimer, this was my highest round of the 3, or of my 4 that I played at 18-hole golf courses. We played Ozarks twice, which I was delighted to do. But this was my highest round, so if you want to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, with my saltiness towards Buffalo Ridge. Again, it is a good golf course. It serves a really solid purpose of a resort where you're getting different types of courses. Paynes Valley is one type, Ozarks National is another type, and Buffalo Ridge is another type. And I think that's really a good thing. If we were all sitting around at the end of this trip and had ranked every course the same as far as 1, 2, 3, that would have been maybe less interesting. Buffalo Ridge, my 3rd favorite, other people's favorite, people on the property's favorite. Some of the starters were raving about Buffalo Ridge. So if you're going to Big Cedar, I would never tell you not to play a golf course, ever. I would never tell you. There's very few golf courses, I think, in the world that you should never play. Go play golf. Golf is great. Maybe for the price, you might decide not to play something. But if you're going to Big Cedar, you're already on a trip. You're paying, 200, 250 bucks plus to play these rounds of golf. You get everything free once you're there. I think I've said that in the other podcast, but I think that bears repeating. You get to their comfort stations. There's only one at Buffalo Ridge, maybe another low light that I didn't even really think about. But you get to that after the fourth hole, fifth hole, you get your free snacks and your free bison dog. But it's a little bit of a different vibe there too. Just I think because it was the first one. You don't walk into kind of a nice hut in the air conditioning and grab what you want and maybe grab some beers and pay for them and grab your water for free. But everything is still snacks, bison dogs, Snickers, and water is all free. But it's just one comfort station. You hit it very early in the round, so that kind of maybe that alters things a little bit too for people. That's it on Buffalo Ridge. Again, go check it out if you want. Maybe use this to help you. But if you're out there and you're playing all three golf courses, you should definitely play all three golf courses. You should definitely play all five golf courses. You're on a golf trip. If you live in the area or if you can only go play one because you're just coming through Branson and you want to go check out one of them, this would not be the one I would recommend. However, if you listen to me talk and you thought, oh, this is everything Sean doesn't like about this place is kind of what I love about golf, then play Buffalo Ridge. Thanks for listening. Once again, subscribe wherever you are. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you want to see Buffalo Ridge, listen to this and watch it on YouTube. I will have some video and some photos from the round out there to highlight the good and maybe some of the bad. But until next time, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here, and hit them straight.